Okay, so we're gonna do a bug out bag today. It's not gonna be like your typical bullshit video where you have to listen to a bunch of bullshit for a while. So I'm just gonna go straight into it. There's two types of bug out bags. One is right there, the backpack for like basically camping. The other is over here, which is basically what you take traveling and you might have in your car. Okay, so let's start with the backpack. Here we go. Now the backpack is going to have a certain number of things that we have here. They're all laid out. And I'm going to just start putting them in and explaining what they are. This is a heater, a cooking stove. Okay? A lot of people don't think about this because they're like, well, I'll just get some dry firewood and cook my fire. But actually, it's wet, it's raining, you need something that cooks. You put these out, you slap them down, you put your pot on there, you're good to go. And you can cook. So that's the cooking stove. These are, ultra lightweight aluminum, easy to find. Don't remember what I spent, but any kind of poor man's heater will work. You can even just get the little, whatever they're called, gel stove thing. I throw these in the bottom because I'm going to get them out last. This is a bunch of pots and pans. And the cool thing about this, I actually got this free off of homeless people that abandoned them in a park. Said it was free, put a big free sign on it. They've got this like bag that keeps all the carbon, because when you cook with these, the carbon builds up and it makes it a mess. But these are cool because you've got basically a drinking cup. You got a handle for your pots. And then here's your little stove, which you flip over like this. And these are expensive if you go buy them, so work within your budget what you can get, but I got these free. So you throw that down, you throw your heater underneath. I think they're supposed to be this way, so you get some air, and then there's a little hole. You put your tube through there, and then that allows you to put a heater. And then you've got these pots that have the weird heat radiators on there. And then if you want, you can cover it and come around and look at the measuring lines. Can you get that on camera? So anyway, there's measuring lines to tell you how many ounces or whatever. You put on your lid, you got your plates, right? And then you've got a pan if you wanna cook something on top of this in a pan, like bacon or something. And then you've got an extra pot with the same thing. And then I think this is designed to go on here, so you can like be cooking your rice or ramen up here and your stew underneath. Dual cooking thing. So anyway, that's the little pot system they got here. So you put your plastic, you put your pot, you put your plastic again, you throw these guys back together. And they're kind of a pain in the ass, but you get used to it. Oh, where's the handle? Oh, and I forgot to mention the handle. So when your pot is really hot, you've got these handles to pick them up. So important item to have. But yeah, not many people are going to be able to afford these kind of things, but personally, as a camper, having done this and tested these in the field, I think it's worth it. And it's worth the extra weight. I used to laugh at my dad, and he would have like steak and eggs and big pots and pans in his backpack. And we'd get to the campsite, and here I was with my beans and ramen, and there he was with his, steak and eggs. And we all just ended up eating steak and eggs and having a great meal. And so this is one of those things that I recommend, especially for camping. These are tried and true. This isn't like, oh, I just bought this off some website. This is what we actually do when we're camping. Another thing that goes in there, this is real heavy, and I'm not really proud of this, and I don't really want to carry this, but it comes in handy. You've got these shovels. So it's like a pickaxe and a shovel. And you can get a little handle. You can dig a shitter. You can bury something. Very heavy, very hard to carry, but at the end of the day, when you get out there and you have nothing to dig with but a rock or your hands, you're like, well, I'll just get this heavy shit in the bag. Extra fuel. Nice. Here's one I see no preppers having. This is weird that they don't have this, but I have it. This is a P100 mask. This gives you organic vapor protection, which means nuclear, biological, and chemical. And these are pretty spendy. So get what you can get. But these are the way to go. Doesn't have a voice box, which is a major drawback. I stick it in a plastic bag so that it doesn't pick up a lot of moisture and dust and mess with the filters. First aid kit. Now this has served me for about 30 years, having this kind of first aid kit. And some of the things that we put in our first aid kit, there's obviously gauze, but you can buy one, but they don't have like a lot of this stuff, and I'll show you what we have that they don't have. This is a loperamide hydrochloride tablet, which is anti-diarrhea. It's really nice to have anti-diarrhea when you're out in the fields eating mushrooms that give you diarrhea or whatever you're eating. This is Afterbite. This is anti-itch lotion. Comes with the first aid kit. Medical tape. And then there's a bunch of medicines in here that I added to. But I'll show you some of the ones that come with it and some that we added. So you've got these, like, basically ibuprofen. Antibiotic ointment, which is never enough. I'll show you in a minute why we take extra. Another antibiotic ointment. Aspirin. So, and you can alternate ibuprofen and aspirin. You can only take ibuprofen every 4 hours, and you can only take aspirin every 4 hours. So if you alternate them, you can get 2 hours. Nice to have both. These are the towelettes. No, this is another Afterbite. So these are towelettes. So you get itchy insect bites. These can help. Ammonia inhalant. This is cool. It wakes somebody up who's unconscious, that's going into a coma. Maybe you need to save them. Nice to have. This is another diphenhydramine, which I think is there's two of them. These say they are for, I think it's guanfacine or something like that. It's allergy medicine. And more acetaminophen, which is aspirin. So that's their little medication packet. And I think a lot of this came with it. If you buy a decent first aid kit, you'll get most of this stuff. I don't know about the Afterbite. I haven't seen that in many things. And of course, you're going to get a lot of Band-Aids, and I have 2 kids, so I go through a lot of Band-Aids, so I make sure I have way too many band-aids. Look at all these band-aids. And they're usually the regular size, and then I've got the other size in the other place. They'll come with a whistle and a compass. Kind of a interesting combo. And then you've got, I love these. These are the elbow band-aids that you need for your joints that flex, or a knee or something. Nice to have one or two of those. I have two. And then you've got different sizes of band-aids. You got the fat ones, the skinny ones. Oh, these are more joint band-aids. You never have enough of those. And that's one packet. The next packet, over here we've got some eye drops. And then all this junk. Oh my god, there's so much. I packed this so full. It's crazy. You won't believe what's in here. So I don't get them confused. And it all fits back in. I'll just stick these back. And these are all kind of necessities. This isn't really a luxury stuff. This is like, this is what I would use on a camping trip, typically. So next we're gonna have antiseptic towelettes. This is to wipe off. It's alcohol wipes, basically. And there's a number of these. Of course, more band-aids, more and more. And then we get into the big band-aid, like those giant band-aids that you can really cover a big cut with. And then we've got pads. These are basically gauze. Big band-aids. Another big band-aid. You can't have enough band-aids. These are band-aids. And then these little tiny ones are cool because, like, I don't know if you can see the size, but they're actually for the little tiny, like, paper cuts. And if you want to hold them shut and keep them from reopening and reopening, these are awesome. I always have a few of those. These are sponges, basically, pads. There's a little instruction manual for CPR, burns, blisters, wound care. More pads, gauze pads. And this is the one that nobody ever has. The number one survival item that has served me the best throughout my first aid kit history is the moleskin. As you can see, you put it on your blisters. Your feet get wet, you get blisters, your foot slips, it doesn't matter. You will get blisters. You put these on over it and it protects them and your blisters go away. Awesome stuff. And that's the first aid kit. And don't forget the little thing with the roll-on gauze, because those are the things that I use. And throughout my history of camping, and especially with kids, these things are what works. This is what I use. And these are tweezers. You can see there's a, nice for removing a splinter in a pinch. Good to have in a first aid kit, especially if you get into glass or something. Triple antibiotic ointment, a whole tube. I go through this stuff like crazy with my kids because I just don't want infections. Good to have the extra. Instead of those little packets that are 1 or 2 uses, this will last you a whole trip. And if I can fit it all back in, it's actually this funny, compact little first aid kit, which might surprise you because all that crap I just pulled out from this tiny little pack. And it's lightweight too, because it's mostly cotton and gauze and stuff. But yeah, all that crap goes right back in here. And you've suddenly got a first aid kit that works. And this, they say 1 to 2 days, 1 to 2 people. But I get more out of it because I have to because I have kids and I try to survive. Oh, put that compass down in there deep so it doesn't slip out. And it all zips up into this little tiny thing. Fits in the bottom of your pack. Anybody looking to help you, you tell them, go in the bottom of my pack. There it is. It's good to go. Now I added this. These are what are called abdominal pads. This is a giant piece of cotton that, like, if you get a gunshot wound, you can just smack that on there. And this is Coban, which is tape, but it's for hairy people with hairy arms, so it doesn't rip your hair off when you take it off, and it's real easy to apply. Add that to your first aid if you're one of those people that care about that. The next thing I'm going to add to my pack, and this is where it gets really tricky, because it's like, where do you put this, where do you put that, right? I like to have a little bit of food that's gonna last forever, so I'll throw in 2 packs of ramen. I have the pot to cook it with. Oh, and you probably didn't see this yet. Inside of here, in this pack, is a water bag with a water filter that will cleanse 100,000 gallons of water. So all I gotta do is refill this puppy. It gives me up to 3 liters or 96 ounces, but I would only put 1 liter a day unless I was on a long trip, because water weighs a lot. It's like 2 pounds a liter. So if I were to put 3 liters, that would add 6 pounds to my pack. But I have this little water pack in my backpack, which gives me the ability to sit there and say, okay, I'm going to cook ramen now, and I need water to do it. And it's all filtered and cleaned. I could just boil it and not worry about cleaning it if I was near a river, so I would probably do that. But as I'm walking along drinking, this little tube is right here, and I got water, so water's not a problem. So ramen takes water. Got water, right? I like to have a wash rag just for cleaning myself and cleaning my dishes and wiping off my stuff. You got to have electrolytes, because that's what plants crave. So these are little electrolyte packs. And you'll notice these are in the bottom pack, where it's a pain in the ass to get to, but hey, you know, I'm not worried about getting food out in a hurry. These are Vienna sausages, and we did the research and we were like, what's the biggest bang for your buck? And it turned out these were, look at this, 110 calories in this little can. And how much of that is fat? 9 grams. The protein is ridiculous. You're going to get 2 grams of carbs, 9 grams of fat, less than 1 gram of sugar. You're going to get a bunch of salt off of these. And the protein is crazy. It's all meat. And the other one we found that was super cheap and the best bang for the buck was oatmeal. So we picked up a couple packs of this high protein oatmeal, banana nut, whatever that means. And look how light this is. It's just like nothing almost. And then I was like, well, you know, hygiene, you can never go wrong. This is really going to be up to you, but I just happen to have a bar of soap laying around. And I was like, well, I'll put it in this little bag so it doesn't dissolve if it rains or whatever. And then you've got, this is very, very important. So first of all, let me tell you about this bag. I picked this up in Thailand for $20 in Bangkok. It was made in Vietnam. Normally they're made and shipped here to REI, and then you pay $200. But I managed to pick it up for $20. You can go to Goodwill. You can find these old used ones. This is 20 years old, by the way. And, you know, it's had rips and tears. And this, by the way, this has been around the world multiple times, and it's been on dozens of camping trips. So it's tried and tested, and all that stuff works out. But you need this tape. It's called tenacious tape, gear aid. I don't know what the modern day version of it is, but this is what you tape over the rips on nylon, and it lasts forever. This was ripped about 10 years ago, and it's still holding. So have this tape, this repair tape, and this works on your tents too. Okay, now I'm gonna call this good. I'm gonna say this is full, but I'm gonna throw in something that is kind of a last minute deal. This is ammo, about 20 rounds. I'd throw that in there. Then I'd call it good. And say, okay, that puppy's pretty packed. This is very heavy, by the way. And then I go to this upper pocket. This is where I want to get to first. So I'm going to have my toothbrush, toothpaste, definitely my flashlight. I want my toilet paper there. Sorry. Chopstick. Oh, I forgot these. Eating utensils. Now you can get those like combined lightweight ones, and I was looking at them, and it's like these are about the same weight, and they're cheap, and you can find them anywhere. So I just picked these. I'm gonna throw them in my bottom, just as extra stuff, right? Eating utensils, you need that. Here is a sewing kit. This has a number of needles and some high strength nylon thread. And if you're like me and you're wearing these, you know, they'll have the extra button on here. Can you get that button zoomed in? So my pants come with an extra button. And this is common when you get these army pants, your fly buttons pop off and now your pants are falling down. So I make sure, but there are extra buttons in there just in case, but they don't work well with these, but these do. And I keep a sewing kit like that. It's very cheap. This is like a couple dollars worth of stuff to just throw in there in the bottom. Last thing you're gonna get to, so you might as well put it in the bottom. Oh, look at this. This is a pocket fishing rod. Now in the past, I've always used the telescoping rods, and they have the little handle that folds flat. So I've always used those in the past, but I actually accidentally inherited this. And this little reel goes on here. So these are cool. I wouldn't recommend going and spending a fortune on these, but a telescoping rod is very, very good to have, especially if it's one of these collapsible things that are just lightweight and tiny and just fit in your bag. So I'll be getting that out last. Obviously, I'm going to break camp first and start a fire or whatever. Take it down, whatever. Okay, the next thing I'm going to most likely want to get to is my Leatherman. And you can buy what's called a multi-tool for 10, maybe 20% of the price of a brand name Leatherman. So I actually have a Leatherman that was purchased long before they were overpriced. But yeah, here's your pocket knife. There's your screwdrivers. This thing right here is a leather punch, which is the whole point of a Leatherman. I haven't seen that on many of the copycats, and I haven't seen it on many of the Leathermans, but I have one. I love it. This tool has been with me for 25 years, and I take very good care of it, and it's always served me, and I will never get rid of this, and I will never travel without it. And if I was traveling, even for vacation, I would have this, and it would be a multi-tool I would be using in my hotel room. Another couple things that are cool to have, this is paracord. What's cool about paracord is, you know, you are out camping and there's zombies and you got all this metal pots and pans and dishes and stuff. You can set up a rattle trap. You can set up a snare for an animal. You can do a lot of things with paracord. So I always have paracord. It's lightweight, it's compact, and a carabiner can help. And then I've got some heavy string, which is just for the hell of it. I'll put those in the bottom because I don't plan on getting those out very soon. And I've got a lighter. Most people have the little striker, but I'm just like, okay, I want to start a fire, done. I don't have to deal with like all that junk. And your lighters will go bad and they'll die and you'll have to deal with that eventually, but I don't see it as a problem. Now, the next thing you need in your bag, and this is where space becomes an issue, is you're going to need a sleeping bag. And this is all I've ever used. I've tried the summer bags. I don't like those. This is a mummy bag. Again, you can get these at Goodwill, dirt cheap. But they're, you know, they're going to go down to 0 probably and keep you warm. And you can just stuff them in there. And if you think about it, when you camp, when you break camp, the first thing you do is pull out your tent, then you're going to pull out your sleeping bag and throw it in there, and then there's your pots and pans at the bottom. So I just take up all that space with my sleeping bag. And this is just as good for camping as it is for end of the world bug out bags. So you're not wasting your time. You're actually helping yourself out if you go camping to have all this in one spot. You shove that in there and boom, you're done. Then there's a couple things that, you know, might be good to add, and I'll show you right here. Like if I were to bug out, you know, I'd grab a couple short socks, some of my long socks, and maybe a handkerchief. So a couple pairs of socks, a hanky. And I still got room in here for that, you know. Oh, and I'd like a t-shirt. Let's grab a t-shirt over here. Okay, it's bug out day. Let's grab a t-shirt. Where's the t-shirt? Yeah, anything will do. There's a t-shirt. Although I prefer these like thinner cotton army ones, but yeah, I'm in a hurry. Okay, so now we got a fully stuffed bag. What do we do next? We're gonna seal the top, right? Then we can pull this over. These will snap on. And if I were traveling, like for vacation or whatever, I wouldn't have sleeping bags. You know, this would be mostly clothes or whatever. But this is for, you know, full-on camping, bug out. And there it is. It's a straightforward bag. Now you've got extra attachments and things. So I'm going to go ahead and show you kind of what happens in a camping situation. So if you look, these straps actually loosen up to about that big. And when I travel, I tie them like that so that the airlines don't rip off the strap. But I'm not traveling right now. But this is actually what I take traveling, is this backpack. Okay, now you're gonna need somewhere to sleep. And this is where things get a little bit challenging. This is a massive heavy tent. This is a 4-man tent. If I were by myself, I would take a 2-man tent, which is for me a 1-man tent. But I got a family of 4, so I'm taking a 4-man tent. And you can actually get these guys strapped on pretty tight enough that they're not going to slip out. Especially if you roll them up good. I didn't roll it up so good last time. But yeah, you'll eventually be able to get these snapped on. And boom, you've got something to sleep in. And then these also have straps on the bottom. So you can go through and say, hey, I need something on the bottom here. What do I do? I think that's what these are for. And of course these are tied because they fly and I don't want the airplanes to mess them up. So we will go ahead and release these straps and put on a mattress. And everybody's got their preference. These are the lightest. The foam ones, they suck, but they're better than sleeping on the cold ground with the rocks in your back. And then you've got the inflatable ones, and you can go crazy and spend a lot of money on inflatable ones. I decided, you know, I have one that was like $100. It's inflatable, but it's heavy, so it's for car camping. And these are for actual hike it in type of camping. And if you had the one-man tent, you'd be losing about 4 or 5 pounds of weight. And here you go. There's your sleeping pad with your backpack. Everything's ready to go. Bug out bag, 100%. I can survive the zombie apocalypse in this thing. I want to show you something cool. Most people don't know this about these bags. And most people don't think about rain, right? Remember I was telling you about the cooking thing and how you can like use that in the rain when you can't find dry wood? Check this out. Oh look, it's a rain fly from my backpack. I would probably put the plastic on the outside so that this can be completely covered. Put the, you know, take the foam off. Keep my gear dry, keep my tent, my clothes, my food. Ta-da! Get just right. You can actually wear it while keeping your crap dry. There you go. Nice dry camper with all that gear. Shall we weigh it? Let's do the weight. Oh, the scale's in your bathroom. I might be able to fit in there. Let's pull the scale out in the bedroom. Okay, so here we go. You're going to get a bead on this scale. Zero. $212. Now let's do it again without the bag. like the propane's going crazy.
Ooh.
Okay, people, that's a punctured propane tank. Fun times.
Guess we'll have to buy a new one then.
Good warning about putting that in the bag. All right, let's get back to the weighing. You ready?
Yeah. Now the house stinks like onions.
181. So that's a 21-pound bag. Not bad. Add 6 pounds for water and you've got 27-pound bag. Everything you need except leaky propane. All right, now we're gonna do the secondary stuff. Okay, so there's another bug out bag here. And this is what I carry on me when I travel, like my carry-on. Or maybe I'd have this in my car. Now, I haven't gotten my handgun yet, but you would want to have a handgun, obviously. Not on an airplane, but in your car or whatever. You'd want to have your passport. Something to write on. Something to write with. And then, if it was a survival bug out situation, and these are nice because, like, after you get your backpack on, you just swing this over and you're good to go. And then these guys, most people have a survival radio, but these are pretty cool. They're a combination of two-way walkie-talkies, and they've got the emergency channel. They've got the weather channel.
Weather in Pendleton broadcasting from WWF 56 in.
Those are good to have. I would be wearing this right here. And then on top of my pack, I'd be wearing this. You know, your standard long-range rifle. And then I might take this as well. So let's total the weight on these. So we got a 181 plus a 27-pound pack fully loaded with water. Yeah, we had a propane leak. So we're at 197. So this is a 16-pound addition on top of the 26-pound fully loaded with water. So we're talking 43 pounds with all these guys with the guns and the flashlights and the radios and the passports, and maybe the plastic gun is a little light, so you might add another pound or two for the handgun, and maybe some ammo. But yeah, I figure if you can get it under 50 pounds, which we've done here successfully, you're good to go. And that is the end of the bug out bag video.